We're now in Africa, where the Presidential Advisory Council, we're starting with stories in Nigeria, on the international relations led by Chief Emeka Anyoko, has been discussing with President Goodluck Jonathan on possible ways to strengthen international relations as it concerns events that are happening in Nigeria. The discussions, which lasted for about 2 hours, took place at a breakfast meeting the president had with the council members at his residence in the presidential villa. Briefing State House correspondents after the breakfast meeting, the chairman of the group said that the council is worried about the impact insecurity could have on the country's foreign policy.
Well, we talked about the impact of the current insecurity situation in the country on our foreign policy and on our image abroad. And so we talked about how the government activities to check and control the insecurity incidents in the country could be affected. We're very pleased with the response that we got from Mr. President. He carefully considered all the issues we raised with him, responded accordingly, some immediately, others in due course.
That's the former Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Chief Emeka Anyoko. Well, despite the crisis in the Central African Republic, especially in the capital Bangui, Muslim and Christians residing around 400 kilometers from the restive capital live together in peace under the protection of Seleka Muslim forces. However, as the crisis intensifies, there are now dreams of dividing the country, and this has led some to design a new flag in case of secession.
It's a model of peace in an otherwise troubled country. Bambari, Central African Republic's second largest town, which is now under the protection of the Muslim Seleka forces. They pride themselves here in defending both Christians and Muslims alike from any attack. Militia called Anti-Balaka and members of the Christian population have driven Muslims from their homes in Bangui and burned mosques since the Muslim Seleka rebels, who ceased fire in March 2013, were forced to step aside in January. Almost all Muslims have fled Bangui, and the United Nations has also reported a cleansing of Muslims from the country's west. Intercommunal violence has gripped the country since late 2012, when a battle for power degenerated into violence between Muslims and Christians. Around 1 million people have been forced from their homes, and almost 200,000 have fled the country since December, with a further 160,000 expected to do the same this year. This has raised the question of a partition dividing the country into a Christian south and a Muslim north. The Anti-Balaka are the problem. From the beginning of their rebellion, they attack only the civilian population. They are not fighting the army, but the population. They killed civilians all the way to Bangui. But Muslims in the dusty town at the heart of the Central African Republic are tentatively embracing a radical solution to the threat of religious violence from Christian militia: partition. Young people in Bambari are circulating a design for a new flag from cell phone to cell phone for what they say will be called the Republic of Northern Central Africa. In the latest evidence of the danger to Muslims, a heavily armed convoy of French peacekeepers escorted around 100 Muslims on Monday away from the threat of violence in PK12 suburb of Bangui to the relative safety of Bambari, which is controlled by Seleka rebels. 2 more convoys are expected in the coming days, completing what one human rights organization has dubbed religious cleansing of what was a mainly Muslim neighborhood.